Before Michael Jordan took flight, before LeBron ruled the court, there was one man who turned basketball into art. Julius Erving, Dr. J. He didn't just play the game, he elevated it. His dunks weren't just 2 points, they were poetry in motion. His style made the NBA must-watch before the TV deals, before the global spotlight. And for an entire generation, he was the face of basketball. But just how good was Dr. J, really? Was he only a dunker, a flashy pioneer, or was he one of the greatest players ever? A legend whose numbers and impact still stand tall against the icons of today. This is the story of Julius Erving, the man who changed the game, the making of the doctor. Julius Erving was born in 1950 in Roosevelt, New York, on Long Island. On the playgrounds and blacktops there, basketball wasn't just a pastime, it was survival, expression, and status. And even as a kid, Julius stood out. Tall, graceful, and relentless, he turned pickup games into his personal showcase. But what truly set him apart wasn't just his game, it was his name. As a teenager, Erving's close friend Leon Saunders nicknamed him the Doctor. Julius called Leon the Professor, and in return, Saunders crowned him the Doctor. It fit perfectly. He played with surgical precision, diagnosing defenses and cutting them apart with every move. By the time he reached high school and then UMass, Dr. J wasn't just a nickname. It was an identity, a signal that whenever Julius Erving stepped onto the court, something special was about to happen. And soon the world outside Roosevelt would see exactly what that meant. The hidden dominance of Dr. J at UMass. By the late 1960s, Julius Erving had grown from a Long Island playground legend into one of the most coveted high school players in the country. He chose the University of Massachusetts. Not a powerhouse, not a school on national television every week, but a quiet New England campus far from the spotlight. Once he arrived, though, UMass quickly realized they weren't just getting another recruit. They were witnessing a force of nature. Across 2 varsity seasons, Erving averaged an astonishing 26 points and 20 rebounds per game. He wasn't just scoring, he was dominating every inch of the floor. Yet almost nobody outside the Northeast saw it. This was the early 70s, long before viral highlights or ESPN coverage. To most of the country, Julius Erving was still a mystery. But to those who saw him live, the stories spread like folklore. They swore he could stay in the air longer than anyone alive. After his junior year, Erving made the bold decision to leave school early, virtually unheard of at the time, and jumped to the ABA. He didn't wait for the NBA spotlight. He took his game to a league built for flair, creativity, and showmanship, a league that was about to discover its greatest star. But could a little-known phenom from a small college really transform an entire professional league? The ABA years, a human highlight reel. Before Julius Erving ever stepped onto an NBA court, he was already a legend in the making. In 1971, he left UMass early and joined the upstart ABA, a league desperate for star power. What they got was a phenomenon. With the Virginia Squires, Erving wasted no time showing the world what basketball could look like above the rim. He wasn't just dunking, he was levitating. His arms stretched, his hang time seemed endless, and every drive felt like he was defying gravity. Fans had never seen anything like it. By 1973, he was with the New York Nets, and that's where the myth of Dr. J exploded. 3 ABA MVPs, 2 championships, and highlight after highlight that felt impossible. One-handed dunks in traffic, acrobatic finishes, and hang time that made defenders look frozen in place. Then came 1976, the ABA All-Star Game. The league introduced its first slam dunk contest, and Dr. J delivered the defining moment. He walked to the baseline, measured his steps, and launched from the free throw line. The crowd erupted. That dunk wasn't just 2 points, it was a cultural shift. The dunk contest became part of basketball forever, and Dr. J became its first great showman. In the ABA, he wasn't just the best player, he was the league. The crowds came to see him fly, and the ABA sold itself on his image. But when the leagues finally merged in 1976, a question hung in the air. Could Dr. J's magic survive under the brighter spotlight of the NBA? The NBA arrival, a different game, same legend. When the NBA and ABA merged in 1976, Dr. J arrived in Philadelphia, carrying the weight of an entire league's reputation. He wasn't just Julius Erving anymore. He was the crown jewel of the ABA, the man who had to prove that its stars could thrive against the NBA's best. But landing him came at a price. The New York Nets, buried under merger fees and payments to the Knicks, sold Erving's contract to Philadelphia for $3 million in cash, an unheard-of figure at the time. The Sixers then signed him to another multi-million-dollar deal, betting their future on the doctor. The transition wasn't easy. Suddenly, Erving wasn't gliding past defenders in wide-open space. He was battling bruising defenses, grinding through slower tempo, and facing a league determined to test him. Even so, the doctor adjusted. His numbers dipped from his ABA dominance, but his presence never did. Every arena he entered leaned forward when he touched the ball, waiting for something unforgettable. By the late 1970s, Erving had the Sixers back in contention. He won the 1981 NBA MVP, became a perennial all-star, and redefined the small forward position. Part scorer, part showman, part global ambassador. But what happened when the doctor's creativity collided with Showtime under the finals lights? The 1980 finals, Showtime versus the doctor. The 1980 finals was a clash of styles. Magic Johnson's Showtime Lakers against Julius Erving's Philadelphia 76ers. For Dr. J, it was more than a series. It was his chance to prove that everything he'd done in the ABA could stand under the brightest lights in basketball. And in Game 4, he gave the world a moment etched in history. Driving along the baseline, Erving soared past defenders, drifted behind the backboard, and somehow scooped the ball high off the glass, spinning it in from an impossible angle. It wasn't power, it wasn't even a dunk. It was artistry, the kind of move that made time feel suspended. The crowd gasped. Even Magic Johnson, watching from the floor, broke into a smile of disbelief. That reverse layup became more than a highlight. It was proof that Dr. J wasn't just an ABA star, he was an NBA legend. The Sixers didn't win the series, but in that single play, Erving captured respect that numbers couldn't measure. Yet even as the respect poured in, one question still haunted him. Could he ever win it all? Finally a champion, the ring that silenced doubters. For years, Julius Erving carried the Sixers deep into the playoffs, only to fall short. The heartbreak piled up. To the Trail Blazers in '77, to the Lakers in '80, again in '82. 12 seasons of close calls left critics wondering if the doctor could ever claim the ultimate prize. Then came 1983. Philadelphia added Moses Malone, a force who changed everything. Before the playoffs began, Moses made his bold prediction. Foe, foe, foe. A sweep in every round. The Sixers nearly pulled it off. They stormed through the East, sweeping the Knicks and dismantling the Bucks in 5 games. Their only loss of the entire postseason. In the finals, they crushed the Lakers in a clean sweep, completing a dominant 12-1 playoff run, the best in NBA history at that time. When the buzzer sounded in Game 4, the wait was over. Julius Erving finally had his championship. It wasn't just a ring, it was validation. Proof that the man who had made basketball beautiful could also make it victorious. But Dr. J's greatness wasn't just about the trophy. It was about the way he changed the culture of the game itself. Style and influence, the blueprint for Jordan and beyond. Julius Erving wasn't just a player, he was an icon. On the court, he seemed to glide above defenders, turning dunks into performances and hang time into theater. Off the court, he carried himself with a charisma that made him the NBA's first true crossover superstar. He was elegance in motion, the prototype for the modern wing. The afro, the warm-ups, the effortless cool. Dr. J made basketball stylish in a way it had never been before. Kids wanted to move like him, dress like him, dunk like him, and brands took notice. Converse signed Erving to endorse their pro leather sneakers, making him one of the first NBA players with a major shoe deal. His commercials presented him not just as a player, but as a symbol of style. a star whose influence stretched far beyond the court. It set the blueprint for the global sneaker deals that would follow, paving the way for Michael Jordan's partnership with Nike. And the players who followed took notice. Michael Jordan has called Dr. J his inspiration. Dominique Wilkins said watching him made him want to fly. Even LeBron James has acknowledged the doctor as one of the original pioneers who showed what was possible above the rim. Dr. J gave the NBA more than highlights. He gave it identity. He proved the game could be entertainment, artistry, and competition all at once. He made basketball must-watch. But his legacy wasn't just about style. The numbers tell their own story. A resume that stacks up against the very best. The numbers don't lie, a BA plus NBA combined. For all the style, Julius Erving's resume holds up with the giants of the game. Between the ABA and NBA, he scored over 30,000 career points. One of only a handful of players to ever reach that milestone. Add in more than 10,000 rebounds and 5,000 assists, and the picture becomes clear. Dr. J wasn't just a dunker, he was complete. He was a 4-time MVP, 3 in the ABA, 1 in the NBA, a 2-time ABA champion. Finally, the long-awaited NBA champion in 1983. 11 All-League first-team selections, 16 All-Star appearances. Dr. J's numbers weren't empty. They defined eras. He was the bridge who carried the ABA's flash and creativity into the NBA's mainstream spotlight. And he dominated on both sides of that divide. The stats are undeniable, but paired with his influence, they become something greater, because the doctor didn't just win, he inspired. But when the final buzzer of his career sounded, what would his legacy truly be? Legacy, more than just a dunker. When people talk about Julius Erving, the first images are always the dunks. The free throw line takeoff, the baseline reverse, the way he floated above the rim like no one before him. But to call him only a dunker is to miss the point. Dr. J was the bridge between eras. He carried the ABA's creativity into the NBA's spotlight. He gave the league its first true global superstar, its first ambassador of style and grace. And he proved that the spectacular could win, not just entertain. Without Julius Erving, there is no Michael Jordan, no Dominique Wilkins, no Kobe Bryant soaring through the lane. He was the blueprint. He made flight part of basketball's DNA. Greatness isn't just about numbers or rings, it's about impact. How you change the game, how you inspire those who follow. And in that sense, Dr. J's legacy is untouchable. And as always, stay legendary.